Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I talk about long hair. Today's going to be a really quick video. I'm going to cover a subject that people ask me about quite often in the comments, so I thought that I would do a video to cover it. It's not something that requires a whole lot of research or a whole lot of overview, and that is flyaways. Now, if you're not familiar with the term, flyaways are just those little hairs that get away from the rest of your hair. If you are in a lighting situation where there's light behind you, you'll see this sort of halo effect that's going on behind you with all these little frizzy hairs poking out. Those are flyaways, and they're common to anybody, especially people who have longer hair. The longer your hair gets, the more flyaways you're going to have. Now, there are a number of things that cause flyaways. The main one is that your hair is always a number of different lengths. As your hair grows and as you wash your hair and brush your hair and grow your hair is growing in at different lengths. Some of it starts later than others. It breaks, it gets cut, and so the different lengths, they don't all line up. And as your hair gets longer, some just sort of stick out here, there, and everywhere. And so it doesn't all look like that nice, smooth grouping of hair that people are looking for. People like a very smooth, shiny look to their hair nowadays. So we don't like that sort of frizzy look. A couple other reasons for your hair having flyaways would be differences in texture. If you have hair that's coarser than the rest of your hair, this can happen naturally. It also happens as you age. I have noticed definitely as I have gotten more gray, the gray hairs are curlier and they're much more coarse than the hair that has color in it, and those tend to be the ones that fly away. And finally, the hair that flies away tends to be a lot drier as well. So if you have hair that's well moisturized, but you have a few pieces that aren't quite as moisturized, they won't lie as flat, and they'll sort of fly away from your head. Now, often when we're talking about seeing things in ads or on movies or on TV shows, you either have a hairstylist that's just off camera, or you have people who are wearing extensions or wigs. So their hair is not dealing with the same elements that you deal with day to day. And so we're not used to seeing in things that are selling hair care products to us, or when we're looking for people to emulate, flyaway hair. So when you see it on yourself, you think that this is something that is not happening to other people. It certainly is. It happens to me all the time. It happens to almost everybody. And if you look up flyaway hair, it's one of those things that a lot of people get bothered by. How to deal with flyaway hair? Well, for the most part, what you want to do is moisturize it and then contain it. Moisturization would be following all the things that you would normally do to get your hair moisturized. A conditioner can definitely help. If you're not conditioning your hair well enough, it might not be moisturized enough, it might be a little bit dry. Leave-in conditioners can certainly help. Oils can certainly help. So you just want to make sure that your hair is in a nice, healthy looking state, and it tends to hold together a lot better. You also want to make sure that you avoid having static electricity, because what happens when you get static electricity, especially right now here in the US, it's the winter time, you have drier air, and the drier air tends to attract your hair away from your head and more into the air. So if you're wearing a hat and you pull it off quickly, you're going to get a lot of flyaways there. In terms of upkeep, you're going to want to make sure that you get regular trims so that you're as close to the same length of hair as possible all over your head. It's never going to be 100% perfect, even after a cut, because some of them are much shorter than others and some are much longer than others. That's just the way that hair works. But if you have regular upkeep of your hair, you're going to have fewer flyaways. The other thing you can do is try to control your flyaways. Now, the problem with doing that is that people who have long hair tend to like hair that's touchable. You like to have hair that moves, that you can run your fingers through, that you can change styles of. The more control you have over your hair and the more you sort of clump it together and keep it all in one area, the less touchable it is, the less movable it is. One of the best things for flyaways is hairspray. If you really shellac your hair down with a lot of hairspray, it's going to all hold together. If you look at hairdressers, or if you're going to a hair show for women with long hair, they tend to spray the heck out of it, and that's because it all just holds it very nicely together. That means that your hair is basically a helmet that's stuck on your head. It doesn't feel very nice. It can look great, but it doesn't really feel all that good. You can also try waxes, gels, and pomades that also weigh the hair down. It'll just hold it all together or sort of glue it together. There's even hair glues that will do that for you. Again, you lose touchability, you lose softness, you lose just, part of what, at least for me, makes me like long hair, which is I'm constantly touching and fiddling with it. And the more you do that with any product that holds your hair down, the less it'll hold your hair because you're just breaking all those bonds that are sticking it all together. The main thing, though, that I want to emphasize, though, is that flyaways are just part of having long hair. If you have hair of any length, it's not going to all be the same length, and therefore you're going to have some flyaways. And while it can make you look a little bit disheveled, as long as you're keeping it relatively neat and relatively controlled, it's probably not looking as bad as you think it is. Remember, when you're looking in a mirror, when you're taking a photo of yourself, you're really kind of judging things that other people don't see. So if you're seeing a ton of flyaways around your head, other people probably aren't, and it's more likely you're just trying to please yourself than trying to please the outside world. I'm here every Tuesday talking about long hair. If you haven't already, it would be great if you'd subscribe. If you have any questions about hair care or any topics you'd like me to cover, please leave a comment down below. Thanks you for joining me this time. I'll see you again next time.